Welcome back to the fields of Perthshire. We are on a different field today. It's been ploughed a few weeks ago. Hopefully we're going to turn up some nice things. It's just myself and Mr. Fletch today, so again it's XP Goldmax versus Garrett AT Pro International. Have to say, unfortunately, the old Garrett's been running circles around me recently. Hopefully Paul didn't hear me say that. But there's a lot of history around this place. All the way back to the Bronze Age. There's a few burial mounds in nearby fields. There's also some Iron Age burials have been discovered over the centuries. And a good bit of medieval history. The lands here were donated to the nearby abbey by the King of Scotland back in the 12th century. So fingers crossed. Oh, and there's also a very old trackway that crosses this site, which has probably been here for about 900 to 1,000 years. So let's see how we get on. Well, there's certainly lots of bits and pieces of pottery kicking around. It's probably going to be a storage jar. Not particularly old, Victorian, maybe back to Georgian at the latest, but it's always a good sign. So only 5 minutes in. And we've got a digger. Let's see what we get. What a start. I think we have got our first coin. And it was good going because it was actually in the side of the hole that I dug. It was quite side on. It was about that. So it was a strong signal for not a lot of surface area. I'm going to guess this is a crusty Georgian. I'll need to give this a bit of a rub-a-dub on the old magic thumb, the bendy thumb. Now the soil here, as you can see, is really sandy. I don't know if that's going to be good for the finds or bad, but we'll soon find out. And here we go. We have got Britannia seated. We've got a date. I think it's 1799, possibly. Need to try and give that a clean up later. I've got one of these carbon cleaning pens that I bought at Detectorist. I've got the full kit. And I've not had a minute to actually sit down and give it a bash. So maybe this is one to try it. But you can see the words Britannia. 17 something. And on this side, you can just make out G-E-O-R, Georgius. So George III ruled from 1760 until 1820, the madness of King George who lost the Americas. They gained their independence whilst he was on the throne. So good start, coin on the first hole, brilliant. Another strange item, a thingy-me-jiggy, also known as a thingy-me-bob. We'll never know what it was, but it's been silvered or tinned, whatever it originally was. Don't know, maybe the fragment of a bowl or something else. Well, I think we might have coin number 2. I was just coming over because I've got these little holes over here, so I was just thinking, oh, I wonder what's been digging in there. This is a huge big mound of sand, glacial sand. That's why this feels so sandy. What looks like snow, that's sand, deposits of sand that have been brought to the surface. You can see the way the colour of the ground changes. Very dark out here, and then it starts to get more sandy as you come in. Over the centuries it's been ploughed closer and closer and closer to the edge. However, got an OK signal there. I thought it was going to be another bit of coke because I've had a few, and I think I've got coin number 2 possibly. A little imprint there in the sand. Right, let's give it a wee rub-a-dub, see what we got. Well, on the back you can see firstly it's broken, but on the back that should be Britannia somewhere, but struggling to see where Britannia is. Something going on here, and then there's this bizarre thing up here. Anyway, on the other side though, look at that. Thank goodness for sandy soil. That's preserved it really, really well. It's Georgios the Second, and then it's Rex. King George the Second. This puts us slap bang into one of my favourite eras in Scottish history, the Jacobites, and specifically Bonnie Prince Charlie. So George II took the throne around about 1727 and he ruled until 1760. And slap bang in the middle you had Bonnie Prince Charlie and his Jacobite army, who almost made it all the way to London. They captured Scotland inside of a month in 1745, and then they headed south against the orders or against the wishes of much of Bonnie Prince Charlie's army. And they made it to Derby when they decided to come all the way back, eventually being defeated at Culloden in 1746 in April. So there you go, that's a beautiful coin. What a shame it's damaged. Great condition. On to the next. So I just wanted to get a closer look at these holes, which are massive. Look at the size of them. And this is all the excavated sand, I'm assuming. Look at that. That must be, surely that must be a fox. A rabbit's not going to dig a hole that size, surely. Whopping. So we've got another of these little clothing clasps. Getting various suggestions. Some people are saying it's for suspenders, other people are saying that they're for corsets. Either way, definitely from clothing. Probably going to guess it'll be Victorian, before the bra was invented, quite possibly. Suggests one of my followers. Well, I'm on a roll in this field. I'm loving it. And that is another one of these Russian lead flax seals. You can see a date there, 1888 possibly. Let's give it a wee rub up and see. Pretty worn on the back, however, this side's very good. As you can see, it's all in Russian. We've got a date, I think it's going to be 1888, or it's certainly 1880 something. So a flax seal from bales of flax that came over from the Baltic, from Russia, to be milled into linen. Huge industry in Perthshire, through Tayside and Dundee, from the sort of very late 1600s through the 17 into the 1800s. Huge employer back in the day. Great find. This one was understandably a bit of a mishmash of signals. It sounded alright, it sounded irony, it sounded alright, it sounded irony. The reason being, it's a little pocket knife. So it's got copper alloy, it's got a bone handle, I think, and it's got an iron blade, which is why it was giving off such a strange signal. I am guessing that that's probably going to be Victorian, 1850, 1900s. What do you reckon? Nice find. Finds are still coming. This is a little button, unchanged in design for a couple of thousand years and more. Probably got a bit of age to it, this one. It's sort of crudely made. The holes are all slightly different shapes and sizes. Probably going to be 1700s. Might be some lettering there, but it's long gone. Oh well. Into a different field and signal straight away. And I think we've got, again, another lead seal. You see that sort of curving edge there? So I think originally it's been circular in shape. I can see the slight outline of a few letters. It's going to be another Russian flax seal, probably from the 1800s, maybe into the early 1700s. Oh well. So batteries changed. I think we might have a wee relic. It's what I think it is. It is what I think it is. Do you see that hole? There it is there, coming out the other side. and going in that side. And this is an old weight. This might be very old. Could be medieval, could even be Roman. But that, I think, is a loom weight. So this would have been used for spinning wool into wool. Does that make sense? Into, what's the word I'm looking for? Not string. You know what I mean. Balls of wool. To take rough wool and spin it. And it could also have been used on an old-fashioned wooden loom. But could have a bit of age to it. How old? We'll never know. But it's a good sign. The path that I've come, got coke and iron and bits and bobs all over the shop. And turned up this wee thing here. Quite a good strong signal. But I've got no idea what it is. It's had a hole drilled in it. It's got this sort of, almost like a thread sort of decoration along the side. Could it be tractor related or something else? Who knows? Another ear-blowing signal, and what looks like a lump of lead might be a little bit more interesting, because I can see some letters on there. EIGLE, maybe? Let's give it a wee rub up and see. Okay, so we've got a nice bit of social history here. The word in the centre, S-A-D-D-L-E-R, saddler. And then we've got the name Meagle, M-E-I-G-L-E. Well, that's a village about maybe 6 or 7 miles away from where I am just now. It's a very ancient village actually, dates all the way back, certainly more than 2,000 years. But this is a saddler's badge, so this is a maker's lead badge. The name obviously is there at the top, D-I something. So this would have been attached to a leather saddle, and it would have showed that this company in Meagle made the horse saddle. It's probably going to date sometime 1800s through into the beginning of the 1900s, but a nice piece of social history. Okay, so we are catching up with Mr. Fletch and his beautiful finds. So we've got a bullet casing for a 303. Oh, I've dropped it. Honestly, every time. So 303 bullet casing. We've got a couple of buttons. This one's probably a bit older, 1600s maybe. This one here, still got fabric through it, still got thread or wool. Oh, it's silvered as well. It's probably going to be 1800s, give or take. And I think we'll call that tractor related. And I think we'll call that junk related. And that looks like irrigation related or something, tractorish. And then he's got this wee thing, which I think actually might be something good. I'm sure I've seen something like this before somewhere, and is it part of a medieval buckle? Any guesses on that one? I'm sure I've seen this before, and I'm sure it was a fitting that goes on the end of leather. It's got gold gilding on it. It does look like there's maybe something there. What do we reckon? Could that be medieval? You might have a good find after all. Well done, Mr. Fletch. So this is a really good signal. Sounds very good, well worth a go. Right, we're out the hole, and I'll give you a clue. Well, I won't give you a clue. Do you see what I see? I'll give you a clue. It's right there. Do you see that? Now that looks like a hammered coin. A medieval hammered coin. It is. That is a silver hammered coin. Right, let's give it a tease out the soil gently. There we go. And there you are. That is beautiful. And that is probably about 800 or 900 years old. Time to give it a wee clean up, see if we can get some detail off it. I have shouted Paul to tell him I've got a hammered. He shouted back rubbish, because he's not having a good time, because the XP versus the Garrett is kicking his backside today. So this is a hammered medieval penny. This is the reverse. It says in this quarter CIVI, which is Civvy, TAS, TAS, City of, and here it's a bit difficult to make out, but this quarter TOR, so that means that's CAN, Cantor, City of Canterbury. So that's where this coin was made. On this side you can clearly see a head with locks of hair and the letters EDW, and that's Edward the First, King of England, Edward Longshanks, the man who had William Wallace executed. So this coin is from the era of William Wallace and Robert the Bruce. That is fantastic. It's been in the ground for, probably dates to sometime in the late 1100s into the very early 1200s, probably about 1190, give or take. Fantastic. This time I've got a little button. Let's zoom in, see if we can see. You can see there's a shield in the centre. To the left, a lion. To the right, I think it's a unicorn. And above it is a crown. I think this is general service. Is that a general service button from the Second World War? Which would put it sometime between 1939 and 1945. I'm still buzzing about that medieval hammered coin. I've shouted Fletch another couple of times to tell him he's about 100 metres away from me. He's having none of it. He doesn't believe me. So I'm going to keep searching around it, see if there's anything else to be had. Well, this sounds like a good one. That's either a great big silver coin or aluminium or aluminum. I was wrong. It's gold. Well, kind of. It's got gold gild on it, which I think means that is a big dandy button, and it is. There's where the loop would have been attached on the back. Let's give it a wee rub up and see if we can get any of that detail to come out. That's the best we can get. This is a big dandy button. If you've watched any of my videos before, the dandy boys in the late 1700s into the very beginning of the 1800s, young men started to dress quite elaborately and they became known as the dandy boys, and they would wear jackets with these big oversized buttons and waistcoats, and you can see it would have been gold gild decorated, and I suppose they were the metrosexual slickers of the day. So a nice piece of social history, probably 250 or so years old. Lots of bits of pottery in this bit of the field. Blue and white, it's probably Victorian, Chinese or Japanese import. However, look at that. Spotted the top of that sticking out the soil. That's a stopper for a decanter, I'm guessing, probably for whiskey or for brandy or such like. Maybe they broke the bottle so they decided to just chuck it away. I'm guessing it's Victorian, 1850, 1900s, but it could be earlier, it could be Georgian. So let's see if we can turn anything up in amongst all this scattered glass and pottery. Well, it's not been Paul's day today. He's picked up a few bits of pot and pottery. He's got himself a little buckle, probably off a something. Probably a horse, I'm guessing. A bridle for a horse. Bit of a teapot, a little lead cube. Who knows? But yeah, not been a great day for Paul. Even worse when he sees what I found. Another coin for me, but unfortunately it is very toasty. You can just make out ON for 1 penny. And you can see Britannia seated. On the other side, not much better, unfortunately. However, I can tell who it is. We have got Edward V11, Edward the 7th, and you can just make him out facing to the right hand side. So Teddy or Eddie, the son of Queen Victoria. He ruled from I think 1901 till 1908 or 1909, thereabouts.
Mikey.
So that puts it, yeah, 1901 to 1909, give or take, 1910. Smoked 40 fags a day and 20 cigars. He's done it. He's only gone and got a coin. He's pulled it back from the abyss. What have you got?
87.
Halfpenny. It is... No, it's facing the wrong way for 87.
Is he?
George the 5th.
Is it George?
It is, it's gorgeous George. George the 5th. It looks like it's got 2 holes drilled in it. Has it been turned into a button? Or is it just those corrosion spots? It has. Someone's made it into a button. That is defacing the property of the crown. That is a criminal offence. So George the 5th, by the grace of God, King of the Britons. And someone's made him into a button. Dates to... When did he take the throne? About after Edward the 7th actually, so it was 1909. And I think he was on the throne till about 1936. And it's a halfpenny. Can't see a date on it, but Britannia is on that side. George the 5th, button boy. Another wee eyes only find for me. I think these are called, is it vulcanite stoppers? And you've got a maker. So this is Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T. And they clearly were from Perth. Not Perth, Australia, but Perth, Scotland. So, I don't know, that's probably going to be early 1900s, I'm guessing. Am I right in thinking? Is it vulcanite stoppers? Is that what they're called? So it would have been the stopper in the top of a glass bottle. Well, let me know in the comments. He's only gone and done it again. Having had a nightmare, he's just pulled 2 coins out in 10 minutes. So we've got a head looking to the left. I think that's George the 6th. That would be the Queen's father. And on the back, it's a ship's halfpenny. And we've got a date of 1945, so the year World War II ended. So if you've seen the film The King's Speech, The Stuttering King, that is this man here. I'm sure it's George. Is it George or is it Edward? No, it's George. Pretty sure it's George the 6th. The lettering's that badly gone. Yeah, George, G-E-I, yeah, Georgius, but I'm pretty sure it's George the 6th. So there you go, 2 coins in 10 minutes. He's pulled it back. I knew you could do it, Paul. He's only gone and done it again. 1 minute later, he's on coin number 3. He's in danger of catching up with me. Right, it's a strange one, this one. It's quite thin. Looks like we've got a 111 up here, but I don't think it's George the 3rd. Or if it is George the 3rd, look at the shape of the head, if that's a head. It looks to me all wrong. And on the other side, that looks like a head. Looking to the left, rather than Britannia. What do you reckon? Could it be a French coin? We've had a coin or 2 of Napoleon Napoleon III, I think it was, from this field. But it doesn't to me look like a regular coin. Let us know in the comments. That would be great. Well, 3 coins in 11 minutes for Fletch. I just shouted to Mr. Paul, who is just slightly behind me, off to the right hand side, that I have got another coin. So that's us had 5 coins in about 12 minutes. And the reason we're finding so many coins is because this is an old trackway along here. This used to be a road that went to an old church that's been in existence for about 900 years. And I just said to him, why do we not come to this part of the field from the word go? And we don't actually know why. Look at that imprint of that coin. There you go, look, mirror image. In fact, you can actually make out some of the words. So, there's our coin. Who have we got? Looks like George V to me. Let's give it a clean up and see. It is indeed. It is Georgius V, George V, de Gratia, by the grace of God, Brit Omni, Rex Fid Def Ind Imp. George V, by the grace of God, King of the Britons, Emperor of India, Defender of the Faith. And there he is, looking to the left hand side. 1 penny, and we've got a date of 1936. So 3 years before the start of World War I. And I think that's also the year that he died. I think he died in 1936. So George V, I've mentioned before, he was the grandson of Queen Victoria. And he should never have become king. His elder brother, or older brother, died when he was in his teenage years. And as a result, George V became heir apparent to the throne. He later went on to marry his dead brother's fiancée at the time, Mary of Teck. And I've talked before about the royals keeping it in the family. They certainly did. Still, it's another coin for me. He's gone and got another one. Shock horror. George V yet again. George V, by the grace of God, King of the Britons, Defender of the Faith, Emperor of India. Have you got a date? 1919. The end of World War I. Well, some people tell you it's 1918. But a lot of the war memorials record it as 1919. So George V, 1 penny. We are doing well on this patch. Well done, Fletch. He's only went and got another one.
I don't know what it is, it's quite blank.
It is quite blank. Let's get the bendy thumb on it. Let's get the bendy thumb and a bit of light. Oh, 1876. Queen Victoria. Been in circulation for quite a while before it's been lost. There you go, look at that. See the bendy thumb? It's amazing what it can do. And a bit of corrosion on this side. But we can just make out a young Queen Victoria. There's her chin, her mouth and her nose. Looking to the left hand side. Very nice. 1 penny. 1876. How many coins is that off this bit now? 7, 8,
Gotta be on.
7, 8, 9.
I've got 5 now.
He's got 5 now. He had no coins 20 minutes ago, now he's got 5.
Stupid.
Rather nice wee bit of pottery. This is what they call blue and white because of the colours. And you've got a little sailing ship there going right to left. Probably again going to be Victorian in date. Probably the middle of the 18 into the early 1900s. But there is pottery and glass literally everywhere, scattered all over the place. So no wonder we're finding so many coins. Another wee relic. This is a little buckle. Didn't even need to dig for it. It was literally right on the surface, right there. Brought up by the rain. And again, it's probably off of a horse rein or bridle. Date-wise, probably going to be sometime 1800s into the early 1900s. Not particularly old, but still is a find. Don't want to touch this one too much for hygiene reasons, but I'm sure you can make out what that is. That's part of an old hairbrush, presumably owned by a woman, and it's made of bone. So each of these individual little tines are all made with bone. Initially I thought it was plastic, but it's not. It is definitely bone. Age-wise, I don't know, that could be quite old. Not 100%, but do let me know in the comments. The light is fading fast. This may well be my last signal. But it's a screamer. Is it going to be a silver coin to finish things off? Let's see. And the answer is yes. It's another coin. This one though is not in good condition. Apart from a letter S there, I cannot make out anything on it at all. Giving it a rub-a-dub on the trousers. I've also given it the bendy thumb treatment, and that's as good as it gets. My guess is that this is Georgian, so it's a bit older than all the other coins. I'm going to say George the First, George the Third, and I'm guessing probably George the Third, maybe a halfpenny, which would mean about 1760 to 1820, but it could go all the way back to 1714 or so if it was George the First. So there we go, nice way to end. Okay, so Paul's got himself another interesting find. In fact, I can see, I think, two faces side by sides. They're there, looking to the left. We think this is another one of these commemorative medallions. You see at the top, the red bit, that's a suspension loop. And that might be the outline of a face just there. Or it might be completely my imagination. On the back, loads and loads and loads of letters and writing and so on. So I think this is probably some sort of commemorative medallion. Likely 1850 through to the early 1900s, and then Paul's plucked himself out another wee coin. George V again. George V, by the grace of God, King of the Britons, Emperor of India. And it's another penny, and we've got 1921. So pretty much slap bang in the middle of his reign. We're asking ourselves, why didn't we come here right at the start? Because just off doing one line each, I think we've got 10 or more coins, plus various other bits and pieces. He's also got this little curious looking thing, which may or may not be something. Again, it looks like it's got a loop at the top that's corroded into it. Could it be another medallion-y type thing? We're not sure. We'll need to clean that up when he gets home. But that's been a very eventful end to a long day, and we'll definitely be coming back to this field because we've got an old trackway that runs all the way up this side, and it goes to an old church on the other side of the field, which may be as old as about 900 to 1,000 years old. So thanks for watching, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and thank God Paul found some coins and is smiling, because up until half an hour ago he was miserable. Excellent. We'll see you on the next one.